everybody, I'm JackieKCooper and this is my entertainment rundown. One of the scary movies of the weekend is a movie called 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. And it's supposed to be a sequel of sorts to the Mandy Moore movie about 47 meters down or whatever. But I could find no connection at all. This one's about a family that has moved to, I think it was Brazil or somewhere in South America. And the father has a job there. He's an explorer, underwater treasure, etc. He's played by John Corbett. His wife is played by Nia Long. He has brought a daughter to the marriage, and she has brought a daughter to the marriage. So the stepsisters don't get along that great. So I was not familiar with either of these actresses, but it ends up that they go off with two friends. They find this water hole type thing, and she said, my boyfriend brought me out here. There's a path that goes down to it, but we just jump in and we will can explore. They had burial ruins that were submerged. Yes. But there's also an ominous part, because at the very start of the movie, the father gives his daughter a shark tooth that he found among the ruins that they were exploring. Dun, 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 dun. And that makes you know that the girls going into this underground cavern type thing are going to encounter sharks, which they do. And it's all suspenseful, it's all scary, because you never know when those sharks are coming out, and it's got twist after twist after twist that kept me sitting on the edge of my seat. The film is rated PG-13. That was a comfort to me. It's for profanity and violence, and I scored it 6 out of 10. It just kept me interested enough to be above average. The next movie that I saw this weekend was called Where'd You Go, Bernadette? And it's based on the novel by Maria Semple. It was a very popular book. It's about a brilliant woman, an architect, who the family is planning a trip to Antarctica, and right before the trip, she disappears. And it stars Cate Blanchett, Emma Nelson as the character's daughter, Billy Crudup as her character's husband, Judy Greer as a psychologist, Kate Burton as a woman who works close to the South Pole, and Kristen Wiig, who is the neighbor that Cate Blanchett's character has running animosity with. She also has a friend and fellow architect played by Lawrence Fishburne. So this has got a huge cast, and I really feel like everybody was hand-picked for the role that they got. Cate Blanchett is just brilliant in this film. I really enjoyed her performance. I really enjoyed the movie. After a lot that I've seen, this was a movie with substance, because the woman is so frustrated and she doesn't understand why. She's dedicated her life basically to her marriage and to her child, but her artistic talents as an architect are just screaming to be released. And this is about how that conflict bubbles out and over. But again, it's a movie that's got a lot to say. I would just love to see Cate Blanchett get nominated for an award at the end of the year, but it may be too soon, coming out for that. It's directed by Richard Linklater, and he's the guy who did all the Before movies, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight. They were very, very popular. Ethan Hawke was in all three, and then Ethan Hawke recurred in Boyhood, which was another Richard Linklater film. And so he's really got the talent behind the camera. I'll give him that. I scored this movie 7 out of 10. It's even 2 spaces up above average. I had a great time with it. It was just, maybe it just satisfied what I needed at that time. I wanted characters that I could really delve into, the relationships, etc. So, Where'd You Go, Bernadette? With an outstanding performance by Cate Blanchett. It's rated PG-13 for profanity, and I scored it 7 out of 10. Then the movies that they send me, the independent films, I picked one out. It's called The Bromley Boys, and it's about football in England. They call it football, I call it soccer, but it's about a local team, and they're on a losing streak, but there's this one kid, he's a teenager, and he just thinks they can be greater than they are, and he studies all their plays. This movie is based on true events, and they put true events, sort of, because the main character, the teenager, grows up to write a book about his local team, and it's called the Bromley Boys. So I think he kind of merged fiction and nonfiction together. But it's interesting because his devotion to the team is so great, and you're hoping that they can pull out a victory of some sorts that will give meaning to the movie. But the cast you've probably never heard of: Bernadette O'Connor, Jamie Foreman, Savannah Baker. But it does have, as the teenager's mother, Martina McCutcheon, and she was in the film Love Actually. She was Hugh Grant's love interest, and I hadn't seen her in anything since Love Actually, but it was good to see her again. Like I said, this one is one that's, if you just got some time on your hand, you want to watch. I could only score it 4 out of 10. It's not rated, but I would give it a PG-13 rating just based on the profanity that's included. But again, 4 out of 10. Then, last movie. This one is called Ode to Joy, and if you get a chance, you need to look it up. It's about a man, Martin Freeman, and he was in another movie recently, and I called his name wrong, so I apologize, Martin Freeman. But this is Martin Freeman. He plays a man who has a neurological problem called cataplexy. And cataplexy means that anytime that he feels very, very emotional, he faints. This is actual, a condition that you can have. And so when he gets too happy, he faints. When he gets, sees things that bring him to tears, the emotional element there, he faints. So he's had to, put up his life with barriers against emotions just to get through life. And his brother, played by Jake Lacey, is also telling him, you got to get out there, you got to try to live. And so one day he works at a library because it's quiet and calm, and he can basically stay composed. Excuse me. But one day a woman comes into the library with her boyfriend. He's brought her there because he wants to break up with her in the library so she won't, pitch a fit in front of everybody. The woman is played by Marina Baccarin, beautiful woman. And so they have the breakup scene, and Martin Freeman's character comes over and tries to calm things down. And the woman finds that she is attracted to Martin Freeman. So she keeps coming back to the library, and she can't understand why he won't ask her out. And the reason he can't is because he thinks that he would fall in love with her and he'd be so happy he'd pass out. So he then tries to talk her and his brother into dating. And he thinks that will, be a good relationship for them. And he has met this kind of quirky woman who he is not that attracted to, but she's kind of so boring that it keeps his emotions from coming into play. She's played by Melissa Rauch, who was on The Big Bang Theory. So, that's nice to see her in a movie. But it's a unique concept, and it's played out well. It's rated R for profanity and sexual content. I scored it 6 out of 10. It's one, if you get a chance to see it, it is worth seeing. It's called Ode to Joy. So those are the 4 movies that I have for you today. Not all of them were winners, but some of them might pique your interest. So this has been my entertainment rundown. Reach down there and hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and I'll talk to you again real soon.